Are you a minimalist spender or are you a maximalist spender? Maximalist spenders would be someone who has a philosophy that, you know what, we have to spend certain amount of income every year. Spending is what the fun is in. Why are you earning? You're earning basically to spend. Whereas a minimalist kind of takes a view that let us spend less so that we always have the freedom and we don't have to continuously work a job, etc., 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 right? Minimize your spending to such an extent that it then is able to give you more options going forward. Let's see what both sides have to say. So there are two maximalists and two minimalists in this, and this is by Wint Wealth. So let's take a look.
How much do you end up spending annually?
Somewhere around 8 lakh what I'm targeting.
We look at about 10 to 15 lakhs per annum.
Expenses could range anywhere between 50 lakhs to 1 crore a year.
Less than 2.5 lakh
2.5 lakh a month or
per annum.
per annum?
He's surprised.
What is the most expensive thing you have bought? Did you regret it? Many of them. I had this thing towards sports bikes, right? So, being a biker by heart, I built bikes when I was in college days. Then I purchased at least 3 super bikes. I had a Triumph Tiger, I had a Triumph Street Triple. All were in the range of 18-20 lakhs. So I think more than my cars, I've spent a lot in terms of my bikes.
So if you're able to do it safely, there's no harm. But it is an expensive hobby. As he said in the video, he actually spent 15 to 20 lakhs per bike, which is a huge amount. More than most cars nowadays.
For me would be, I think, my car, which is a Kia Sonet. I have followed this thumb rule of not buying any depreciating assets with loan. So I bought that with cash only.
Most expensive thing is the house, close to 12.5 crore. The purchase
The house is quite expensive.
that I got the most flack from at home was to buy a pen.
And the house seems like it's a floor or a flat, which is something that we are seeing everywhere, right? Even in Gurgaon now, you're having each flat or each apartment, as they call it, basically it's a flat, costing like 10 to 12 CR as well, which is huge. But the newly rich are actually preferring, from what I've seen, there are quite a few people who are actually preferring to take these gated societies with a nice flat because all your maintenance, etc., is kind of taken care of.
Pen approximately worth $3,000. Basically, parents are like, "पागल है तू? मतलब मतलब like ये क्या लाया है तू?" It's just writing. That's it. From the perspective of a rational buyer, it's the biggest waste of money. But from my perspective, there are only 5,000.
That's interesting. He's a trader, right? And he spent $3,000, which is like 3 lakh, 2.5 lakh on a pen. Let's see what he has to say. How is it an appreciating asset? I think it's more of a rationalization.
Thousands of such pens. It may have a resale value. It may not have a resale value. But when I have 10 of them, they will not go for zero.
Yeah, nothing will go for zero, but doesn't mean that you would buy it. Even your car will not go for zero. So it doesn't mean that you'll just buy it if you don't actually use it.
Whereas your 10 Renaults or Parkers or Cross will go for a zero.
The most expensive.
Not a valid comparison. 10 Renaults, of course, will sell for zero. But doesn't mean that you buy this, like I just said. So Suhas, he's on the minimalist side. These two guys are on the minimalist side. And he's a co-founder at Indian Yards Foundation and The Good Gift. I wonder what that is.
The thing that I've bought in the last 6 years, I think, is a laptop, which is a MacBook. And I wouldn't have done it. I had to do it because the earlier MacBook that I owned got fried in a lightning that hit our house. So I was forced to go and buy this.
What is minimalism and maximalism according to you? If I surpass my wants or my needs, that kind of operates in the spectrum of being a maximalistic.
Yes.
If the needs kind of surpass the wants, that kind of goes into a simple way of looking at things.
So for me, being a maximalist is actually being an informed buyer. And a minimalist is an individual who has put utility of purchase at the highest, has given it the highest weightage.
In my life, I have procured a lot of things based on my passions, right? but I've never settled for something lesser. I'm willing to wait, but plan according towards it. I always felt that I don't want to be a second best. I always want to be the first in whatever I procure.
Minimalist would be somebody who demonstrate a right understanding of what is necessity, what is not the need of the hour.
I was a thoroughbred maximalist
Oh, okay.
in my past life. That was 6-7 years ago. But I
What a shock. The guy who spends only 2.5 lakh per year was actually a maximalist before. Let's see what changed his perspective.
realized that every time I purchased something to make myself happy, it was short lived. Then I needed something else. So I was just moving from one thing to another. So I then started looking for happiness, which is more longer term. And we discovered that I don't need any of this to make myself happy. I have to look for ways for happiness to come from within. And that's what we set out to achieve when I quit my job and then moved to the mountains. But before that, we turned to minimalism. The way I look at minimalism is not about building wealth. So I'm not minimalistic to save. I'm not minimalistic to build wealth.
Right.
I'm minimalistic simply because I only need so much.
Okay.
What has your career trajectory been like so far? And how has your income progressed through it? When I started with a staffing firm called Eteco. And then I went through different companies. I've worked with Bank of America. I've worked with Wells Fargo. My last company that I was in is Shell, which is when I quit. And now I run my own social enterprise ecosystem.
Foundation should have given it away. He's running something like an NGO or a social enterprise.
Started at 7,000 per month, so it was 84,000 a year. 12 years, hence got to a 1 CR, and then I decided to quit. So today where I am, it's 10 lakh per annum.
I started with 2.4 LPA, and then after 2.5 years, I abdicated my job and took a break, and then I restarted my career sort of with an MNC and IBM with 100% hike to that salary. And then next change was 2 years from thence to a big four, Deloitte, with again 100% hike. And then I was with one startup again, with 50% hike. Now post that, I had next change, which is the recent change with this product-based company. So here would be ranging somewhere around 50 to 70 LPA.
I think I started my career journey way back.
It's typical of developers, right? They have a nice journey up to, let's say, 50 to 60 to 70 lakhs per annum. And then it kind of stalls at that point. I would be interested in knowing what he does next. You would probably have to go into some kind of entrepreneurship where you might take a temporary dip, but then the upside is unlimited. So if you want to play for a higher upside, you'll have to kind of get into entrepreneurship, which most people consider a risk, and I don't. It's always fun to play for the upside, right? Why have a capped upside? Then it's kind of like an injustice to your potential. If you're actually developing yourself, if you're confident, if you're developing your skills, entrepreneurship is the way to go. It's modern day conquest, really, but good career progression for him.
Back in 1999 when I graduated from RV College of Engineering, right? So 3,000 rupees was my salary. From there, I moved into being a corporate sales guy for Advait Hyundai. That's why all my cars are from Advait Hyundai, right? So then came the aspect of HP. 5 years in HP and then 10 years in EMC. That's a foundation to what I am today, right? And then moved into the organization that I'm here today for the last 7 or 8 years. And definitely I kind of play on the realm of what you just mentioned as to what the particular range looks like for a vice president.
So like a crore or so, right? In Optum.
In this company altogether.
My career started in 2007 with Fidelity Investments in Bangalore. I started with a salary of about 25 to 30,000 rupees at that time. And my employment career ended in 2019 at Serum Institute of India. I was drawing a salary close to 35 to 40 lakhs per annum at that time. Then I took my passion of professional trading full time. And this year, I think my individual earnings should be close to 2.5 to 3 CR in this particular year.
Trading is where it's at. But it's a risky game if you don't understand it. If you understand it, it's all about the upside, right? Managing your risk and going for the upside.
Does being a minimalistic mean that you're compromising on your lifestyle?
No, I don't think it's about compromising. For me, at least, minimalism is not about compromising. Minimalism is about having that clarity between need and want.
Yeah.
My choices, in terms of the devices that I use, or or the shoes or the clothes that I wear, I don't feel like I have to compromise. But
You can actually brainwash yourself either way. And whatever you think is the right thing, right? Because if you actually think you require a big car or a big house to be happy, and then if you don't get it, you'll be unhappy. But if you are able to brainwash yourself or change your thinking that you don't need these things to be happy, then you'll be happy without it. So both ways are valid. Nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. This is a quote by Shakespeare in one of his plays, which I really think holds good in this case of maximalists versus minimalists. They've kind of, whether through external influence or through external influence plus internal logic and internal thinking, they've come to this thought process, and whatever makes people happy, I'm all for it.
I only see the need for me to have 3 pairs of shirts. Those shirts could be woodland, and I could have paid good money for that. But I just need 3 shirts, which will take me 5 years. For me, that's minimalism.
So
I also continue wearing my jeans for ages, right? Jeans, shirts, till they really wear out. And I find that a lot more fun. Shopping also involves a little bit more spending of time. And I would rather spend that time in actually building a business, building more wealth, which is my game, right? I don't find the game to be like shopping for things. I don't find any enjoyment in that myself. But I would spend anything that is required on a business, if it's actually required. Many times, even in businesses, you feel like spending a lot with the assumption that money will come. Whereas you don't need to spend that much to actually get money.
one of the major expenses I can think of in weddings, me and my wife worked upon that pretty well. So we worked that well, and I could certainly save 30 to 40% of my wedding expenses that I've put into the first flat which I've purchased.
Example, do I want to own, I don't know, maybe say Van Gogh's painting? I would love to own. But do I actively or consciously think of owning it? The answer is,
why would you love to own Van Gogh's painting? I like NFTs, but I like NFTs from the point of view of selling them, not buying them. Maybe buying and trading them, buying and selling them for an appreciation later. But purely buying something to keep it and enjoy it, art, a piece of art, you can actually take that painting, you can actually print it out yourself on a canvas, very high quality canvas. It's available online. Print it out to the equal level of accuracy, frame it. Maybe it is 90%, 95% of actual Van Gogh's painting. It will cost you probably 2,000-3,000 rupees in doing all this. Van Gogh's painting original would be probably millions of dollars. So from a purely utility perspective, it doesn't make sense. Reminds me of NFTs, which we have been tracking closely on this channel as well. Ordinals, Ethereum, NFTs, Solana NFTs, and now I think there is another chain called Based or Base chain. And something that we are interested in, we will track further on this channel.
no. And that's largely got to do with the fact that I'm aware ki how much money is there in the account waiting to be spent.
I was looking at purchasing a new car, right? I had a Hyundai Tucson before, 5-year-old. Then I went in to see a Mercedes GLC AMG.
Mercedes. I like the look of Mercedes GLE, I think, especially if it's in black. Good looking car. But of course, if you don't have thousands of CRs, it doesn't make sense for me to buy a Mercedes. Yeah, that's the way I think, because A car taking up more than 1,000th of your net worth should not be happening, right? You should have that money to, in my case, build more money. That's the way I would operate. Or you have it for freedom. People underestimate what it requires to be truly free. And all of these people are working in jobs still.
Which is about 1.3, 1.
So if you're working in a job and you're buying things like a 1 CR job, 1 CR car, and your income itself is 1 CR, it does not make any sense to me. You're really not free. You're having to work continuously for such frivolous things, right? Something like Mahindra Scorpio N, black color, base variant, by the way, without any frills. And then you can, if you like those frills, which I don't, you can actually get them in like 50,000, 60,000. And you'll get the whole car, a bigger car than Mercedes, with a huge, amazing petrol engine. You'll get it for like 13, 14 lakh. So be logical and rational, everyone. Focus on your businesses. We are here as entrepreneurs, right? At least that's what we encourage on this channel. Get into entrepreneurship, earn money, separate the connection between time and money. And to get to that point and experiment hard, you will need to save money. So you'll have to go the minimalistic route.